So today we are going to cover input and output files. So the content will be we are going to look at what is input and output file. Okay, and then we're going to look at how we can save and load variables to and from a file. Then how we can read from a file and then write to a file. Okay. So what is input output file? So input and output. Input file is a file that we use that we want to use in our programs that contains useful information. Okay, this can be, say for example, we have a output from an Excel file or a text file that we want to use in a program. Then we can input those files into our programs. Okay, output file is say for example we have created a program and then we want to create a report file or data file. Then we can write all the data, all the information in a separate file on an output file. Okay, type of input and output file, we have a MATLAB. Okay, we have a MATLAB format. Okay, I will explain this further. Okay, and then usually for input and output file, we have what we call as a text file. This can be in .csv, .txt, or any other extension that we can use, say for example, Notepad or WordPad to open. And then the other one is spreadsheets. So this is some Excel file, ODL if I'm not mistaken, and so on. Okay, so you can actually input the files, or you can call the input to MATLAB. Okay, so this is actually a lot of files that you can use that you can import or export to using Octave. Okay, so this is the typical this is some of the file that we can use in Octave. Okay, now I'm going to show you the save and load function. Okay, this is a basic function that you can use to save the variables to a file. Okay, you can save the variables and then you can give the file to someone else, and then they can open the file using either MATLAB or Octave to get the data back. Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, the basic save command is you have save, and then you open the bracket and then you specify the file name. Okay, this will save all the variables in the workspace. If you want to save a couple of variables, what you can do is you can say save and then specify the variables in an apostrophe like this one. Okay, and then this will save the variables in the files using MATLAB binary. I will show you one by one. But okay, I'm going to show you the save function. So this will be save function. Okay, saving variables. Okay, let's say we create a dummy variables, a dummy data. Let's say x is equal to n. Okay, then y is equal to a random number. Okay, when you want to save the file, do not give the file name a save. As you cannot use save as a file name because it will override the save function in Octave. So, say for example, this is example save. Okay. Okay, so when you run this, you'll see that we have x is equal to 0 until 10, and y is a metric with random numbers. Okay, you can save this. Okay, let's create another one. Z is equal to random 2, 5. Okay, we have three variables, and then you can save these three variables to a file. Okay, you save the variables to file. Okay, let's say you save, and then give it a file name, my variables. Okay, so when you save all, okay, when you run this, and then go to file browser, and then okay, let's make this extension txt. Okay, then you get this one kan, this one delete lah. Okay, this one you double click this one, you'll see that we have created Octave has created a file with the three variables. We have x, we have y, then we have z. Okay, you can actually load the variables using the load command. Okay, let's see how we load this. So load variables from uh, okay. In order to load the variables, you can just specify uh, the load function and then the file name that you save the variable. In this case, this is the file name. And just copy paste this one, copy paste here. Okay, so this is example load. Okay, now if we clear this, okay, we clear the command window and we clear the memory. You see that we don't have any variable here again. But as soon as we run this, you'll see that we have variable x, y, and z. Okay, so the variable has been loaded into memory from this statement. So we load these files, and this file contain the variable x, y, and z. Okay, so this is a nice way of say, for example, you have post-process your data, and then you want to use the data in another program. Okay, you can save the variables. You can save the variables, and then use the load function to load the variables. Okay. So this is if you save, you just specify save, it will save all the variables. But if say for example, if you just want to save y or z, you can specify something like this. Save some variables. Okay, you can just specify y, or you can specify z, for example. Okay, let's say this is variables number, my variable 2. So if you run this, and then you go to file browser, you have my variables too. And if you double click this one, you only have two variables. You have only y and z. Okay. And then lastly, what you can do is, in order to make this compatible with MATLAB, what you can do is you can specify something like this. Save variable to file to a files using MATLAB binary. Okay, you can specify slash mat and comma. So the mat will save the file in a binary. So let's save this as my variable 3. Then if we run this, you'll see that you have my variable 3. But if you double click, you'll see that there is nothing here. Okay. Nothing in here because this is saved in a binary. Okay. So if you open this in a notepad, you'll see something like this. Can okay, this is actually some binary file lah. So we can actually open a binary file, and this can only be opened in Octave or in MATLAB, but it cannot be opened in a text editor. Okay, so we have saved all the variable in the file. We can load the variables. Okay, this is example, load all variables. Load all variables. You can also load some variables. We only want to load some of the variables, but you can use it. What you can do is you can specify, for example, something like this. Load, this is the file where the variable is, and then you just load a specific variables. So if we run this, okay, let's look at the workspace. Let's clear the workspace first. You run this, and you'll see that if you run this file, you will only have a y and z. Okay, because we only need y and z from the file. Okay, so in my variable we have three variables x, y, and z. Okay, but we only need two variables. So you can just load y and z, two variables only. Okay, so we have covered how to save the variable in the workspace. Okay, we can save some of the variables and then save the variable as MATLAB binary. You save in MATLAB binary, and then you can open this in MATLAB. You can so this is interchangeable between Octave and MATLAB. Okay, and then you can use the load function to load the variables from a file. Okay, you can load all variables, or you can load selected variables. It's up to you. So this one is this two is a nice function for you to save the data that you have, and then use the data in Octave or in MATLAB. Cool. So that's it, and then we are going to continue. Say for example, you are given a data from another sources, not from Octave or not from MATLAB. So the data is can either be a text file, a CSV, or it can either be a spreadsheet, Excel format, say for example, and then you want to use that data, you want to use this data in Octave. So how do you do that? Okay, it's actually a couple of function that you can use to import the data, say for example Excel or text files in Octave. So one of the function is Excel read. You can use this function to read Excel file, and you can also use DLM. DLM stands for delimit delimiter read. Okay, so this will read some sort of a CSV files or text file. Okay, you can also use import data, text scan, and CSV read lah. But in this course, we are going to focus on these two lah. So we only use oh sorry. Okay, we only cover these two lah. How to read an Excel file and how to read from a text file. Okay, before you can use the first one, the Excel read and DLM read, okay, you need to load the package. If, say for example, you type here Excel read, okay, read from Excel file. Okay, let's say we want to read from an Excel file kan. You can specify, then it's Excel read. Okay. If you click Excel read and then press F1, you'll see that the function for spreadsheet style input output are provided in IO package. So that's because it throws this message because this function is not loaded in the from package. So you can do is you can load the package. Load the input output package. So this is you need to do this for the Excel read only. Okay. For the other one, you don't necessarily need to do this. So this in order to load the package, you say that pkg load IO input output. So if you run this, okay, let's copy paste this here and enter. Okay, it will load the package, and then now if you click accelerate and then press F1, okay, you're going to get something like this. Okay, this means that the package or the function has been loaded into Octave. So accelerate is function from the file. Okay, this is how you use the function. Okay, all right. Okay, so first we need to load the package to use the Excel file. Okay, this is how you read data from Excel file. Uh, there is a couple of ways to do this. The easiest way would be to specify something like this. So this is the variables that you want to store the data. Okay, let's say we call it the data. Okay, this is the function, and this is the Excel file. Excel file. Okay, let's create a simple Excel file. Uh, let's call this Excel file. Okay, let's first create the file. Data. Okay. Okay, let's create here some random or just some data. Okay, that we have created a data. We save this one. Okay, and then we go to our Octaves. Okay, and then make sure that you save this in the same directory as the Excel file. It will be much easier to read. So we save this in the same file as the Excel file. Okay, so this is read Excel, right? We call this read Excel. Okay, then we need to specify the Excel file name. Let's clear this first. That will be my Excel dot tak, saya tak ingat lah. XLSX. Okay, so if you run this, so what you have is something like this. Okay, run this one. So you have data is equal to this value. So this is exactly the Excel file that we have created. Kan? Say for example, if you specify this And okay, and then save this one, and then go back to Octave. And let's put this side by side. Okay. So whenever you make changes to this file, and then if you read from the Octave script, you will get this kind of data lah. Okay. So this will give you an ability to read an Excel file in Octave. Okay. And then this if you say, for example, if you have Excel file and then you only have one sheet, you can use this function. Okay. You can use this command. So say, for example, if you have another sheet, okay, if you want to read data from another sheet, you can use this command. And then if you want to read from a range, you can use this command. Okay, let's see how this okay, another sheet. Let's call this apa, record je lah. Okay, record. And then this is okay, just let's call this sheet 3. So this one kita nak buat macam ni. Okay. So this is our data. This is in a separate sheets. Okay. Let's okay. So we have created the data. So we have sheet 1, we have record sheets, and then sheets number 3. And we can call data from any of the sheets. Okay, let's call this read from an Excel sheets. The first one is the Excel file name. The second one is the name of this sheets. In this case, record kan. You want to get data from record sheets. Okay, this one data is in this format. Let's call this data okay. So if you run this, you see that the first one we have from this one, the first sheets, and then the second one is from this second sheets. Okay, second one is from the second sheets, and then we can also read and that one we want to read this data. We want to read this data. Okay, so we know that this is sheets number 3. And then we know that the range is C3 to E5. So you can specify this as C3 to E5. Okay, because we want to get this data kan. This is C3 and then this is E5. And when you run this, you get something like this. 9, 12, and 15, 10. This value lah, this value. Okay, so this is how you read from a selected sheet and then selected range. Okay. Okay, so that's how you read from an Excel file. That is very simple again. So you have the command Excel read. You have you need to specify the file name. You need to be in this apostrophe. This is the sheets that you want to read, the name of the sheets, and then this is the range. Okay, that settles it for Excel read. Then you can also read from a text file. Okay, you can read data from a text files using using this one. This is if you want to read data from a file, a text file, you can use the so-called DLM read. Okay, So let's create a simple file first. So let's call this a read text file. Okay, let's call this. Let's create a text file. My data.txt. Okay, let's create a simple file. There's 1, 6, 7, 8. And there's a reason that I put this comma. This is what we call as a comma separated value. So you have a data, and then the data is separated by a comma. Okay. This is examples of the data. Close this one. You can actually read this the data in Octave. So how do you read the data? Okay, you can use DLM and then you specify this. This is not. Should not be. Okay, this should be my data lah, not my Excel data kan. That something like this. Okay. If the data has no header, then you can use this one. If the data is headed, then we'll look at how we can use this one. Asal jauh pula ni, should be something like this. This is starting row. This is okay. So let's continue this one. So we have created this. Nama tak ada. Let's see. This is my data. Okay. We have created this file. A simple file that contain our data, and we want to read this data in our octaves. So how do we do that? So let's put this on the left hand side. So this is our data, and then we want to read this in octaves. So read the text file. Text file. Okay. So this is as simple as we did previously. So we just specify read data from file. Okay, let's call this data. Then can use DLM. The function that we are going to use is called as DLM read. This is DLM read, and this is the files, the name of the file. Okay. So that is DLM read, and then the name of our file is my data kan. Yes. Okay. Then make sure you save this in the same directory as the file. Is in the read text file. Read text. Okay. So if you run this, okay, let's clear this first. Run this. You see that we have load the data in the text file in our octaves. So you can also see from the workspace we have the data, and then we have the dimension is 5 times 2, and then value is here, something like this. Okay. And then say for example the data have header. Okay. Let's say that this is a data kan. This software. Okay. And then the data have something like this. kan, x, y. Okay. The data has some header. If you run this script alone, kan, just dlm read and then you specify the file, and if you run, you'll get something like this. Okay, so this is not what you expected. Okay, you are expected to get just this value, kan, just this value. You just want to import the data in Octave. So in order to read the data that has an header, okay, so read data from in header. So what you need to do is, first you need to specify the file name, okay, and then you need to specify what we call it as a delimiter, okay. This is in this case the delimiter is a comma. What is separating the values between one value and the other value is just a comma, kan? So you can specify this as a comma, and then this is and then the other thing that you need to specify is the starting point, or the starting column and the end column. Okay, so this will be okay. In order to specify this will be not one. This will be row 0, row 2, row 0, row 1, row 2. You will start at row 3. Okay, because this is start from 0, 0, 1, 2, and then you will start at row 3, row 3, and then you will start at column. This is the first column, kan? Okay, the first column is start with the indexing is slightly different from what you used to be. Instead of 1, you specified as a 0. So we will start from here. The data will start from here. Okay, okay, let's convert. Okay, the data will start from here. So if you run this file, okay, let's comment this first. If you run this file, you get this value. Okay, so what this coding reads is that you want to read a file. This is a file that you want to read, and then the delimiter, the something that apa ni, something that is used to separate between the data is a comma. This is where you start. This is the row, and then the start of the row, and then this is the start of this the column. Okay, and then if you say, for example, specify it instead of 3, you specify it as this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start it as 5, kan? What you are going to have is you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you will get this value. Okay, so so this is very important. If say, for example, let's change this to 3, kan? You got all the data. Then instead of specifying comma, you specify, say, for example, a dash. Let's see what happened. So if you specify dash, and then you only have this value 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Okay, because it will be able to read this the first column value. Okay, and again, because it cannot find this dash value, it will not read the rest of the value. Okay, so this is very important. So you need to specify this correctly. Say, for example, if this is, say, let's change this, the delimiter instead of comma, we change this to something like this. Dash. That's all. Okay, not dash. Let's use a space. Dash. Okay, so this is just this is just white space. Okay, in order to use white space, you just put white space. Something like this. Okay, a white space. And then if you specify a white space, that means there's nothing in between. Okay, and then you get the data. If you specify comma here, you will not get the data. Okay. escape clear kan, something like this, because it cannot find the dash, so you will just get this value. Okay, so we have finished reading. So I've shown you two type of function that you can use to read data. So you can use Excel read to read Excel file. You can use DLM read to read from a text file. Then you can also write. Okay? You can also write to a file, and then you can also write to Excel file using SLS write, and then you can also write to a text file using DLM write. Okay, and then the function is quite similar lah in terms of you specify this the function Excel write, you specify the name of the function and then the data that you want to write. Okay, and then if you want to specify or you want to write in separate sheets, you can use these comma sheets. And then if you want to specify, if you want to write in a specific range, sheets and range, and then you can specify the range. Then you can try to do this. Let's create. So this is right cell. Let's use this one. Let's close this one. Okay, we want to write to an Excel, write data. Okay, and this will be this. Yeah, first we need to create a dummy data. Let's create X, Y, and Z. Let's just create a random value. So this is random. Okay. Okay. So we want to write to an Excel file. So this is our Excel files. Okay. Let's delete this one. Delete all the data first. Write to Excel file. So the function is very simple. XLS write. Okay, and then you specify the Excel file. My Excel dot Excel, and then the data. In this case, X. Want to write this to the Excel file. So if you run this, okay. So you notice here that we have an error again. Error Excel open write mode requested but file is not writable. So you need to close this file. Excel you need to close first, and then we click run. So this is has successfully run. Okay, how do you know that this is successfully run? You get the answer is equal to 1. Okay. If it's not 1, I think 0 code, then you get an error lah. In this case, if 1 this is okay. So if you open this one Excel, you'll see that the data is already in here. Can okay. Let's see if you let's repeat this for several example. Right to Excel with sheets. let's call this let's call this shit. Okay, and let's do one thing at a time. Close the Excel file first, and then we want to write the second one. Want to write Y to a sheet record. Run this. Okay, this one shows 1 and 1, should be okay. So if you open this one, what you have is you have a sheets and then you have record sheets, and then this is all the data that's been written to the Excel. Okay, and then finally, if you want to write to different sheets, and then to say, for example, a different range. Let's say that this is Z record, no record 2 data. Okay, this is record, this is data. Let's start from C. Let's give it some range, C10, F 30. Okay, that. So if we run this, you'll see that if you open my Excel, you see that we have 3 sheets. Sheet 1, we have record, and then we have a sheet data. And now, instead of writing the data from the top left corner, the data has been shifted here. It started from C10 and then it ended to F13. Okay, so our data has been written in this location. Okay, and so that's some of the way that you can use Octave to write your data to an Excel file. Okay, so this one. And obviously, there's a different things that you can write. You can write a string and so on. But to make things simpler, we just write some numeric data. Okay, make things simpler. Okay, so that settles it. And then we have the second one. We have the DLM write. So DLM write is instead of writing to an Excel file, you write it to a text file. Okay. So let's see how this let's see how we can use DDLM right now. Okay, let's make a new folder. Right. Okay, let's create a new file. My data. Okay. Then we can similarly say that we want to write a text file, write data, text file. Okay, and then create dummy data. Let's say we create a data is equal to very huge number kan. Let's say 50 or banyak sangat. 3. Okay, save this in the same file that we create the text file. Okay, write text file tadi kan. Save it here. Right. Right. Okay, so we have all this data. We want to write all this data in a text file. So what you can do is can use a DLM, right? Okay, you say that DLM, right? You specify where you want to save this. So this is in my data, right? My data.txt. Let's open this one. So that one is here, my data.txt. So my data.txt. Then you specify the data that you want to write. So in this case, you want to write this data here. Okay. So if you run this, go here, you'll see that the data has been written to this text file. Okay. So all this data. Then because you don't specify the delimiter, you will automatically see that this has been separated by a comma. So this is what we call as a CSV file, comma separated values new file, okay, because this is separated by a comma. If you want to specify a different delimiter, what you can do is you can specify something like this. Okay, you can specify dash, or you can specify space, and so on. Okay, in this case, say for example, if you specify, you say that you want to specify a dash, and okay, already file ready. Okay, you run this file. Check here, you see that this has turned to dash. Okay, if you want to specify a space, say for example, you just put a space. Okay, okay, that is space. So this will give you a space. If you want to specify a tab, you can use /t. /t stand for tab. Okay, then load this one. Okay, you'll see that this is separated by tab. So this is a nice, a lot nicer lah. In terms of, okay. And then if say for example, if you want to save this, uh, dan anjakkan macam mana? If you want to write this, say for example on line 8 kan, you want to write this on this line 8. What you can do is you can specify something like this. You can specify because 8 minus 1, because this start from 0. You want to write this one. Look at this one. Write data with delimiter and starting location. So this is delimiter. This is the starting row. The starting value start at 0 kan. 5 means at row number 6 and so on. Okay, we can specify this as we want to write at this one. So let's specify this as 8 minus 0. You'll see that this will get this will move down, the value will move down. See, this will move down, but the total number of value is still in this case is still 50. Okay, this is 58 kan. This start at 9 and this is 58. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is at location number 9. At line 9, start writing the data. That's it in terms of writing a data to a file. Okay, I've shown you two ways that you can write the data using Excel. Right, you can write the data to an Excel file. You can write also the data to a text file. This is the data. Okay, and then sometimes when you write a code, okay, you want to produce a report. Okay, you want to produce a report that provide useful information to the reader. Okay, what I've shown you is just you writing a lot of data. Okay, and then sometimes people cannot make sense of the data. Okay, this is one of example where there is no mention what the data is. There is no header for the column. Okay, you don't know what this data represent. What is this column means? What is the second column mean? The third column mean, and so on. So in order to produce a data that will be useful to the reader, you can use what we call is writing a report file. Writing a report file. So this will be slightly not complicated but slightly challenging, not because we'll be dealing with three functions instead of just one function to write the file. We will be dealing with these three functions. Okay. First, we will use the first function to open the file, and then we will write to the file, and then we will close the file. So this is an example of how we can write a report file. Okay. This will open the file. This is FID is actually a file ID. File ID is equal to fopen. So we want to open the file, and then the name of the file is report.txt, and then we want to W means we want to write to this file. Okay, if you change this to read, or A, R stand for read, A stand for append. That means that we just put the data after, or we just apa maksud pen, kita tambah lah, kita tambah. Okay. We just add to the information. So this one we clear everything. If you use W, it will create a report file. If it's not created, if it's created, it will delete all the content, and then it will write a new file, a new content in that file. Okay, so this will open the file called FID. Okay, and then you use fprintf. I think you have learned about fprintf. Okay, you can use fprintf to write a string, and then you can also use fprintf to write to print out the numbers, the numbers, the column, the matrix, the vectors, and so on. Okay, use fprintf with this FID. Previously, when you use fprintf, you don't use FID. Okay, this one you use FID because you want to say that we want to print this statement. Okay, then want to print this statement in a file. So this is FID lah. And then we close the file. If you don't close the file, and then you cannot write to the file. There will be some error lah. So the main thing is in writing a report file is first you need to open the file using fopen, write something using fprintf, and then close the file. Okay. Let's do some simple examples. Let's say that we want to write a simple okay. First we open the file, open a blank. Okay, you say that you need to specify. This can be anything, but okay, we have 10 more minutes. I think we can finish in 10 minutes. Okay, you have the file ID. Just specify fopen, and you specify the file name, mydata.txt. Then you specify for writing. W stand for write. Then make sure that you always close the file. Close file. Close file. So this is F close. Open, and then specify the handle. Okay. Open the file ID, and then close this file ID. Okay. This two is compulsory. If you open, you need to close the file. Right, and then we need to write something. Write to the file. F, and then we can use fprintf for this one. Specify the file ID. Then what you need to write. So this, let's say that we just want to write a simple sentence. This is a report file. dash slash and play. So save this. Write a report file. Okay. So this report file. Okay. If you run this, and then you see that FID is equal to 3. If ID is equal to 3, any positive integer, that means that this thing has run correctly. Okay. If ID is equal to -1, that means that this is not open properly. Okay. If it's negative value, then it's not open properly. This one is nothing. F0. Okay. We have opened the file. We have write a file. We have write some sentence to the file, and then we have closed the file. Now we need to look at the file. Right, report file, and then there is actually my data here. I need to open this notepad++. Okay, you can see here that we have written something. This is a report file. Kan sini kan? Okay, and then if you want to add to the file, you just say that this is a report file. Uh, okay, so this is the second sentence that you want to put in here. So if you run this, click here, then click yes. See, so you see that the report is computer generated. Play. If you want, say for example, to write fprintf with numbers, and okay, what you can do is say that the number of files is in something like this, kan? I stand for integer, and say that this is equal to 200. Okay, so this one, if you run this one, you'll see that it will print the number of file is 200. Okay, and then say if you were to write numbers in between text, okay, you can see the load is we can change this to floating numbers, and then we want to have 5 spaces, and then we want to have 2 decimal point. Okay, the load is say Newton. Okay, yes. If you run this, you will see that this has changes to the load is 3.14 kilonewton. Okay, so whatever that you written here in the octaves will be written in this your text file. Okay, and then if you want to write let's say this is your data, kan? Okay, I'll cover the last one. Okay, if you want to write a series of data, for example like this one, and this one. Okay, what you can do is, say for example is something like this. Have let's just make it random. Oh, okay, you want to write this data to this file. Okay, and then you want the data to have header. Okay, okay, first you print the header, f print f. So this will be the header. Alright, to file fid. So this will be the header. S stand for strings. You want this to be the size to be 5. So this will be the first header is x, the second header is y. Okay, slash n. Let's make it slash n. Okay, you have the header x, x and y. Okay, this is x and y. This is extra space because I have this slash n, two slash n here. So you have extra space, and then you can write the data some like FID, and then you can write, because this is two column, you can write f 5.2 means 2 decimal point, and then this is the data lah. Okay, now if the data is if you arrange the data like this, okay, in order to make a data like this, you need to arrange the data like this. Okay, say for example the data. Okay, say for example the data is like this. Say for example the data is like this. Okay, ke bawah. In order to write the data using fprintf, you need to transfer the data. This need to transfer the data. So if you run this, you will see that the data is transferred something like this. Okay, this is 10. Okay, this is 4 by 2, 4 row, 2 column, and then 5 means 5 spaces, 2 decimal point. Okay, so that's it.